Your house is worth whatever it's worth, right? Whoever sells it. Wrong. I'm Charlie. Welcome to Moving Home with Charlie, and thank you for coming.
Charlie Landing grew up in Sussex, is the founder of Best Agent and presenter of Moving Home with Charlie.
If you want to find one of these guys, look out for those compassionate professionals. All estate agents are not the same.
So Charlie, what would be your advice for people interested in buying new builds right now?
Don't overpay. Do buy, but don't overpay. That's why I say disregard the guff. Read into the numbers and look, and it's buried. The bad news is buried in the small print, okay?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Property Press Awards.
They may or may not be telling the truth, but you should form your own view. Get out and view, get out and view, get out and view. You cannot be in a position to make offers and have the offers accepted if you're not viewing. So be out there viewing. Pay attention to the back of the class if you've not been watching my videos. I did one just a couple of days ago. Disregard the guff, guys. Good evening, everybody, and a special welcome to the lots of new subscribers that we've gotten over the weekend, who'll be wondering why just that loud slurp of cup of tea and they laughed about it. In order to understand why Rightmove today published that asking prices have dropped by £5,000 on average, 1 week after Halifax said house prices reached a record high, the most important thing to understand is exactly how the Rightmove asking price index is comprised. And it's very simple. It's actually one of the simplest of all the house price indices. So every month when Rightmove publishes its average asking price, it says average house price, but it's always asking prices. Okay, so first of all, remember, it's asking prices only. Secondly, it is only comprised of new to the market properties in the last 28 days or so. They actually give the precise date range. So it ignores all the rest of the properties that are on the market. It ignores any reductions in prices made of those properties that are new to the market in the 28 days. So, for example, if someone drops their house price after a couple of weeks because it went on too high, that's not included in this. Because if it was, it would look even lower. And it has absolutely no connection to actual house prices. In other words, the price at which sales are agreed. This is really important. Now, once you understand that the Rightmove House Price Index has nothing to do with the price at which houses are selling today, but everything to do with the prices at which new properties are being advertised today, then you realize that you're not comparing apples and apples when you're comparing Rightmove and Halifax. And it was a big drop today on Rightmove, but that's just, I don't want to overblow this because every November, on average, seasonally, they expect a 0.8% drop in November's report compared to October's report. But this month, it was nearly double that at 1.4% drop on the average asking price of newly listed properties compared to the month before. And now, I'm going to bring it all up on screen in a minute. And my recent messaging about this being a great time for upsizers is getting louder and stronger. This backs up the fact that it's even better for a time for upsizers than I thought. And it's good news for first-time buyers. I now want you to think about how long it takes to sell a house from when you begin. Shall we put a house in the market? Shall we move house? Shall we sell? And how long it is from that day until the day you actually decide which agent you're going to go with. And then how long it is from that day till it actually goes onto the market. And then how long it is from there until you find a buyer and agree a price, which is, I think, Rightmove's figures. We'll have a look. It's about 4 months, I think, or 3 months. And then it's 5 months after that until your property actually exchanges price, if it exchanges at all. And there's only a 50-50 chance that you do sell. So Halifax is reporting prices that are kind of at the end of the process, and Rightmove is reporting what's happening at the beginning of the process, if that makes sense. So we're not seeing in Rightmove's data, we're not seeing the effects of price reductions because those aren't included in the index. And this is important. We're not seeing the effects of people accepting lower prices for their house. Not in this data, we're not. We are seeing sellers coming to the market at a lower asking price to begin with. That is good news for transactions. Why are we seeing that? Well, we can discuss that, and I'll go into that at the end. But that's what's happening. So asking prices are coming down right out of the gate. But all of the headlines today talking about how average asking prices have dropped $5,000. That's not true. On Rightmove's own front page, it breaks it down. This is why you must ignore averages, okay? Because averages aren't true for anybody. And of course, who are the people most watching this kind of data when it comes out? It's first-time buyers. Well, it's disappointing news for first-time buyers because it's not £5,000 drop in the asking price on first-time homes. That's only been dropped by about 1,500 quid. Yeah, it's less than £2,000 on a first-time buyer property. But for what Rightmove calls top of the ladder properties, it's a £22,000 reduction in the initial asking price of top of the ladder properties, or a 3.3% asking price drop. Reduction in new asking prices in November. Now, down there, you'll see I've put some numbers. And this is to help everyone make sense of what's going on. But these are all averages, and therefore they're all to be ignored. But what I thought is worth just spending a moment on is comparing the averages. Now, so let me just run through what's happened here. So I'm going to share some stuff on the screen. So this was last week. The Financial Times reporting that UK house prices hit record high in October, says Halifax. Now, headlines like this have two effects. Number one, it makes sellers think, oh, so maybe the estate agent wasn't overvaluing, and maybe I'm not being unrealistic, and maybe it is reasonable to put my house on at that price. I mean, the Financial Times reported, Halifax said it's record price. I mean, it must be true, right? No. Never mind that. Look at their number, £294,000. Nationwide, for the same period, actually said that the price, this is where seasonal adjustment comes into play, but Nationwide said the price is not 294,000. What was it? Yeah, not 294,000. Nationwide's price is 265,000, as you can see here. Their headline says UK house prices rose month on month in October. Hang on a second. That's not gone up. That's gone down. Look, September was 266. And October was 265. And that's not seasonally adjusted. So that's actually gone down. Okay, only by 400 quid or so. But it hasn't gone up. But the headline is that it goes up. Ah, that's because it's seasonally adjusted, you see. Confused? Not yet. Well, you will be soon. So let's also note that Halifax's house price is 294,000 and Nationwide's average house price is 265,000. That's a 30 grand difference. It's about a 12% difference between Nationwide and Halifax. And yet everyone sees them and goes, but Nationwide said it, but Halifax said it. Well, then why are they both different? Rightmove's number, 200 and what? 200 and what? Get away with your 200. No. Average new seller asking prices are £366,000. Much, much, much higher. £366,000. Hang on, I haven't shared it, sorry. There we go. Can you see that? £366,000 says Rightmove. Well, which is it? Come on, which actually is it? Well, it's none of them. None of them are right. Because every property type in every different part of the country, and whether it's freehold or leasehold, transacts at a different price. And this average narrative is so misleading, because there are places where prices might be going up and there are places where prices might be going down. But everyone just reads the headlines and goes, well, I haven't really been paying attention, but the headlines say house prices record high. And all three agents that I invited around said roughly the same. So I'm being realistic. And this is the problem that we've got, right? The major problem. Now, I got a phone call today, but just before I go into Rightmove in more detail. And this is huge for me, absolutely huge. This justifies me going full screen, actually. I got a phone call today, and I asked for permission to say this. I can't say who, and I can't say from where, but I got a phone call today from a financial journalist from a major national newspaper who said to me, and I quote, "You're right, Charlie. We do just copy and paste the house price index press releases, and we should look into them more because it doesn't ring true." I've been waiting for that call. This is someone, I can't say who it is, right? But we had a conversation for 1 hour about what's really, really going on. And he said to me, everyone I talk to that's trying to sell a house says, we can't sell our house. Why won't our house sell? We can't sell our house. And there's this denial about the fact that house prices are falling. But actually, when you look deeper and you look deeper and you look deeper, actually, maybe they are. Then you look at the... Anyway, so am I overexcited about the possibility of being involved in doing research for an article by a major national newspaper that's actually going to go, maybe the house price indices aren't telling us what's actually happening in the housing market, and maybe it's misleading people? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? This is my conversation with this person continues tomorrow as we research the article they're putting together to try. The most special thing for me about it was this message that it's like, yeah, it's not what's happening, is it? And it is, all that data is just coming from industry vested interests. And it's my favorite quote was, it's very one-sided. It's not balanced. Those of you who've been following my channel for a long time will know how immensely relieved and rewarded it felt to have that phone conversation with that, not a property journalist, financial journalist from a major national newspaper. And so one of the things he's asked me to do, before I'm about to get into the Rightmove nitty gritty, he has said that for his article, which he really wants to make sure is thoroughly researched, he needs people who are willing to come forward and share their story about not being able to sell their house. And he said, nobody wants to do it. He said, very, very, very few people are happy about being named, being photographed, and being in the papers for being unable to sell their house. And I said, well, yeah, that's unsurprising, because most sellers in that situation, it's quite difficult to come to terms with the reason why that's happening. But nevertheless, that's what would massively help the story. And so if you are watching this and you would consider, even if you just consider it, please get in touch, because I'd like to put you in touch with them so you can have a conversation and you can discuss and you can say exactly what you would or wouldn't be happy to do. But if you're someone who's been chasing the market down with your price for a long time, or the prices you were told by the agent just haven't turned up. I mean, I get so many of you commenting in my videos and on my X feed about how, I wish I could find it. Someone just a few days ago said, I've so far dropped my price 20% and I'm still not selling. For this story, we need people willing to go on the record and say that they're having difficulty selling. And this will help the whole market if we can. And the other thing he's looking for any agents who are watching this is he's very, very keen to hear from any agents who agree with the following statement, which is, actually, if we stopped talking house prices up, there'd be more transactions and agents would make more money. The industry, all of the people in the industry would make more money if more people moved house. And the more house prices go up and the more people's perceptions that house prices are up when they're not, the fewer transactions they are, which is why I beat my face against the wall every month that people like Halifax pump this stuff out. Because it's what people want to hear. Record house prices. Oh, and it is, and what it's what weak and underinformed agents go out and say, did you see Halifax said record house prices? So you better hurry up and offer and buy. Don't listen to the doom mongers like Charlie who say house prices are coming down. No. Halifax says they're going up. So offer asking price, offer more, pay. Don't miss out. If you don't buy today, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. And that's what agents jump on the back of, because they think that people will only buy because house prices are going up. But actually, because house prices have been so expensive, now we've got an entire new generation of first-time buyers who just want a home, actually. It's not even about making loads of money from property prices go up anymore. We would just like a home, thank you very much, saying those first-time buyers say. So, I've gone off piece here. Let's get back to breaking down what Rightmove are saying in their house price index. And if you've got questions, by the way, please put them in the chat. Put your questions in the chat. Please put the word question so I haven't got anyone else doing this for me this evening. So I've got to scroll through the whole lot to find the questions. Let's break this down. Let me go straight to the first part. By the way, I've linked to this document below so you can all go and have a look for yourselves. Okay. I'm just going to run through. If you only see one part, I want it to be this line here. The national average asking price by market sector, excluding inner London. This section here, right? These three lines here. Okay. Because what you'll see there is that it wasn't an average. Look at the difference in averages between first-time buyers' homes on the first line there, second steppers, and top of the ladder. So all three have seen new asking prices drop in the last month, right? First-time buyers just by 0.7%. So it's not a lot of money. It's like 500-600 quid. That's all the drop is for first-time buyer type property. Again, this is only for asking prices. It has nothing to do with actual sold prices. And I want to show you something about that in a moment as well. Second steppers, minus 0.8% move in the average asking price of new listings, which is about just under £3,000. Okay, so for first and second steppers, actually the drop in average asking price is less than the headlines tell you. So again, the average is misleading. Top of the ladder properties, 3.3% drop, and this is where the upsizing advantage comes in for upsizers. But that is a £22,000 drop in the average asking price of newly listed top of the ladder homes. I don't know how Rightmove separates these out. First time, second time, and top of the ladder. I don't know how it does it. So, but there we've also got, this is from the 13th of October to the 9th of November. So it's 4 weeks. It's about 28 days. Okay. And it's the whole of the country, excluding inner London. So it leaves out central London. I want to go through also the commentary up here at the top. Average new seller asking price drops by, yes, we've just been through that. That's an unhelpful number. It's a summary, right? A bigger fall than the usual seasonal 0.8% drop seen at this time of year. And then they start speculating, likely due to pre and post budget jitters. What were the dates on this? 30, yeah. So it's actually pretty much exactly 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after the budget. I don't think you can say that what's happening here is due to the pre and post budget jitters, right? It's because this is the point. This is the first point I want to make about timing. And that's where I find this kind of commentary frustrating, because Rightmove knows how long it took for these people to come to the market. And they did not come to the market like that, right? It takes weeks. So this is data from people who started calling agents and started talking about coming to the market at least 3 or 4 weeks beforehand. So the month previously. So this has got nothing to do with budget. Nothing to do with budget. Nobody who came on the market just after the budget did so because of the budget. They were already well into the process. And I know this because sellers who come to Best Agent, my website, to ask to find agents, one of the questions we ask is, how soon would you like to come to the market? And it ranges typically from 1 to 3 months when they initially want to start talking to agents. Some people say 2 weeks and straight away. So that's the first thing. That commentary is off on its observation. It's annoyingly sort of sloppy commentary, that one. However, despite the dampening effect of the budget, market activity remains stronger than last year as bank rate falls. Well, again, the drop in the Bank of England rate won't have affected these numbers yet. It's too soon for them to have affected it. The number of sales being agreed is 26% ahead of the quieter market this time last year. Okay, that's very, very welcome. But again, sales agreed is not sales completed. That excludes fall-throughs, and there's no official data on fall-throughs. That is good, but 2023 was a very, very quiet market, so you'd want to be seeing that happening. And that's not as big an increase as we like. To get it back to normal levels, that needs to be 50 to 75% up on 2023. The number of new sellers deciding to move and coming to the market is 6% ahead of the same period a year ago. Now, if you remember, Rightmove a couple of months ago said we've got the highest amount of property coming in the market for 10 years. That's still going up. So it's beginning to filter through to sellers that there is more and more and more competition. All right. And that will definitely be one of the factors that's been growing all year. Because if you remember, beginning of the year, Rightmove said we've had a record number of people inquiring about contacting agents about selling their house. So the whole of this year has been building up the stock levels. Rightmove's real-time data shows some early signs of a post-bank rate cut uptick in buyer demand. Now, this is demonstrably rubbish, because within a day or two of the bank rate cut, mortgage rates went up and have continued to go up since then. So because the Bank of England rate cut made no difference whatsoever to buyers at all, but the mortgage rate went up, this has nothing to do. So this is just clutching at straws, because Rightmove's clients, who are predominantly big corporate estate agents, I mean, it's all agents, but the big corporates pay them the most. They always want to see positive spin in here somehow. And speaking of positive spin, wait for the next bit. Rightmove's 2025 forecast is that average new seller asking prices will rise by 4%. Our highest prediction since 2021, since the pandemic. And it goes on to say, with lower mortgage rates, releasing some of the pent-up housing demand and putting modest upwards pressure on prices. Now, this is fantasy. Okay? All of these kind of pundits at the beginning of the year were saying, by the end of the year, by the end of 2024, the Bank of England base rate will be 3%. Well, no, it's still up at, what was it, 4.75%? Or 4.5% now, but it's way, way more, okay? Bank of England rate has not come down and refuses steadfastly for the last 2 years to come down anywhere near where people want it. And there's no basis on which to expect further bank rate cuts next year. But even, this is the point, right? As the most recent Bank of England rate cut showed, even when they do cut rates, it doesn't mean mortgage rates come down. It doesn't mean it's cheaper for buyers to buy. And therefore, it isn't going to be releasing some of the pent-up housing demand if the same thing happens, because mortgage interest rates are based on the money markets, the gilt yields and the swap rates. That's where mortgage lenders get their funds from predominantly, okay? But guess what some of the other headlines said today? Rightmove predicts the biggest house price increases in 2025 for 4 years. They can't help themselves. And of course, there's absolutely no basis for that. I'm not saying they're going to be wrong. I'm saying that the reasons that they're saying are, I think, ridiculous. I completely disagree, and I think that 4% prediction for 2025 is going to be way off. Way off. And you also have to remember what their prediction is based on, which is asking prices. And as more and more and more people are forced to sell their larger homes and more of the top of the ladder come on, even though those prices are coming down, it has the effect of lifting the overall average asking price, right? So this average price here, right, which is the whole of the market put together, that can go up as a single point average, even though all the prices are actually going down because of the change in the mix or the balance of where. So more £1 million properties coming on at 20% lower prices, and then less new stock coming on at the first time buyer end will make the average go up. It's maths. It's maths. Let's just keep going through this, okay, and just find out some more interesting bits. There's lots of guff in here about how it's not good, but hey, it's going to get better. It's not good, but hey, it's going to get better. Despite the post-budget gloom, the market is more positive than last year. It's just experts' views. You go back and look at these experts' views from 2022, and none of them warned were right about what was going to happen in 2023. So I tend to scroll through all of that stuff, but it's just press release guff that all of the publications can use. Average asking price trend, again, that's for the single average. It doesn't help you to know what's happening with your prices. And then there's one other, so affordability trends. Have a look at it yourself if you want to. They've already shown that graph. That's twice now. 5-year asking price trend. It's not much to say about that. Average stock per agent, actually saying it's the same as the month before, 63, but that's including under offer sold stuff, which would suggest that there's more stuff coming on for sale than is selling. Average time to secure a buyer is now 62 days, up from 61 days last month. Let me break that one down for you very quickly. No one's getting a buyer in 62 days. People are getting buyers within 30 days when they price their properties correctly and go on with a good agent, or they're waiting 120 days. Right? That's what's happening. Sellers who understand that the market will determine the sale price of their home, not their asking price. Sellers who understand that, who go to agents and say, I just want to sell, I just need to sell, let's just price it to sell. They are getting a buyer and getting their sale agreed within 28 days, maybe 45 days, maybe 2 months tops, okay? And if you are selling because you're upsizing, this is intelligent, because as soon as you've got your property under offer, you can start making offers on the one you're upsizing to. Yeah, that's going the wrong way in London as well. Now, here we are. I love this. The choice of color coding on this chart really cracks me up. Because look, when you're looking at the individual southwest and southeast, here we are. Look, this shows the regional variations, because that's the other variation that isn't covered in the national average, right? Let's just get that a bit bigger for you again. it's red, right? The monthly change, 2.4% down, red is down. If it's up, look, it's green. So in Wales, 2.3% up, but 1% down. So down is red, green is up. Until you look at the national graph, when increase up is dark green and decrease down is light green. So basically, that entire map should be red except for the East Midlands. But their paying customers wouldn't like them to do that, so that's not going to happen. London bars, right? That's the London bars is pretty pointless data. It's just so all over the place. It doesn't make much sense. Okay. One other thing to show you to help you understand a little bit more about how these prices work. So this is best agent. This is from my website, right? And this is bang up to date data. This is just changes in the last week. But what I want you to look at here, because this tells you so much, it's so much more helpful. Now, first of all, this is still asking price data only. Okay, asking price data only. But it's the whole of the market, not newly listed stuff, number one. It's only England, so it's not Wales and Northern Ireland, Scotland. This is England only, so it includes London. But it's the whole of the market. Unlike Rightmove, it's just the most recent stuff. This is everything on the market. And secondly, we've broken it down two ways, right? We've broken it down between for sale stuff, the stuff that's not selling on the lower line, and sale agreed, stuff that is selling on the higher line. And from my point of view, the lower line is to be ignored. This is overpriced stuff that isn't selling. Okay, what's actually happening is the higher line, but this is just asking price data when the property goes sale agreed. It doesn't tell us what the agreed price is, which will not be the same as this, and in my opinion will be significantly lower. And then you got here, look, 4.6 homes for sale to every one sold. So that's 426,000 for sale and another 93,000 showing a sale agreed. So that's 520,000 roughly. That is the sample size of this particular data set. Okay, look at the difference between median and average. This is important because in America they use median prices. Why? Because median prices are much closer to typical prices. So if you look at the bottom of the screen, you've got Halifax at 294, Nationwide at 265. Okay, and so the median sold asking price is closer to those two. The average sold asking price isn't, it gets skewed by the very, very high value properties, the small number that are in there. So averages are misleading. Look at that. Look at the difference in average between median and average for the unsold stuff. It's ridiculous. And that just goes to show you how much ridiculously overpriced, expensive stuff just sits in the market for ages, dragging the average up. Okay. So on the median, the difference is only £50,000 between sold and unsold. But on the average, it's 105,000. So more than double the difference between median and average when comparing sale agreed and for sale. Hope that makes sense. But this is what I think. My own interpretation of Rightmove's data today, looking at those regional changes, looking at the first buyer, second stepper, top of the ladder, all of that stuff, right? Lowering asking prices beyond seasonal norms is, of all the signs that are out there, is the strongest sign of prices coming down. Now, I don't know what's going to happen next month or the month after. Who knows? It could go up, go down. It can get mixed around. And I'm not saying that Rightmove's data is concrete proof of this. I'm saying that it supports this month's readout, supports what I think because of the timing of it, right? This is when people put their property on the market for the first time and the prices are lower than the month before and a lot lower than expected. We've got a situation where across the country, larger, more expensive to maintain and more expensive to heat houses and houses that are never going to pass the EPCC rating are being sold in ever increasing numbers. Gradually, not a spike, but there are gradually more and more and more and more and more of those larger houses being sold. As everybody increasingly feels the pinch, the financial pinch from inflation, from the cost of living crisis, from tax rises, from fiscal drag, from your income tax threshold not rising with inflation, all of these things that have been eating away at everyone's money, they actually hurt the higher end property owners the hardest, as do heating bills and food bills, the household bills and maintenance costs on larger houses. It costs a fortune to fix stuff on a bigger house. And so the operating costs of these big houses has gone up disproportionately higher than the rest of the market. This is my own unscientific assessment, okay? This is pure opinion based on watching everything I've been watching for quite a long time. And everyone I've been talking to, agents that I talk to, what's happening in the market. And this unusually higher number of larger properties being sold is creating, as you saw, sharp downward pressure on asking prices. Some of those people are downsizers. Some of them are probate sales as well, and some of them are landlords selling up, whatever. But it is a lot of downsizing pressure, which is why there are more people buying the lower value properties, which is why the prices aren't falling as fast at the lower levels as they are at the higher levels. That reminds me. Oh, I didn't have this ready. I should have had it ready. I haven't got it ready. There was a graph that really helped show it. Sorry, guys, that's disorganized of me. So this is not bad news for everyone. This is great news if you're upsizing, okay? Because what it means is the price of the properties that you're upsizing to is coming down faster than the price of the house you're selling. All right. For anyone out there watching going, where I am, prices are going up. Well, asking prices, sale agreed prices, or actual sold prices, and how can you be sure? Okay, because don't forget that agents, almost all agents, but not all of them, always try to put that message out there to encourage buyers to buy out of fear of missing out if they don't buy. Okay, so you will always hear prices are going up, and but so if you are fortunate enough to be upsizing, do not worry about how much you get for the house you're selling, because the house you're buying has come down more. Do not worry about maximizing every last penny out of it. Yes, of course, you want to make sure you get the best market price for your home. But that's what you've got to tell yourself. The market will determine the price of the house I'm selling as long as I get competing offers. As long as you get competing offers, okay? And do not go to an agent that does not have a credible plan for getting you competing offers, right? A really good agent will have any property sold under offer, as in price, a sale agreed within 28 days. There are very few exceptions to that. If you're downsizing, because of how much the economy is going to get weaker, and by that I mean people's pounds in their pockets are going to be getting less because of all the tax increases, yes, for minimum wage earners are going to see an increase in April. That's true. But minimum wage earners are not your typical buyers, and that's not going to feed into property prices much. It might feed into renting prices, but not buying prices. I've had some one-to-one calls. By the way, if you want to book a one-to-one call with me, I'll just pop the URL on screen so you can, because I've had a few recently that are very interesting with sellers who are selling to buy. And I haven't got where is it? Anyway, it's on buymeacoffee.com. On my website, you'll find the link. If you want to upsize, you won't be able to bid on the property you're upsizing to until your current property is under offer. If you put it on at too high a price to begin with, you scare all the buyers off straight away and you sit there waiting, and the market's moving away from you. I think prices are going to come down next year, continue to come down faster than they have been, because I think whatever the government's headline figures are for the economy, I think people's actual disposable income and sense of wealth and well-being and job security is going one way at the moment. I'm trusting government data increasingly less. I've got decreasing levels of trust in the government data I'm seeing. It tends to be more and more manipulated because what they're reporting is happening in the economy, and what happens when you talk to people about jobs markets and that kind of stuff, they don't ring true. The car market is falling down. All of the recession signs are sounding again. And that's why I'm expecting house prices to get worse next year. People will still move. And that's a good thing. And you want people to still move. And if house prices can ease, more people will be able to afford to buy. So just don't overprice it if you're a seller, because there's what you want for it, there's what an agent thinks it's worth, and there's what the market will pay for it. And that's the only one that matters. Okay? Get it under offer with an agent that you trust so that you can go bidding on the bigger properties. Downsizers, don't delay. Do not delay. Do not delay. Oh, that's right. That's what I was going to say. So some of the sellers I've been having calls with recently, who booked one-to-one calls with me, have been asking me, because apparently the agent said, oh, maybe we should wait now because it's too close to Christmas to launch it. We'll wait and put it on the new year, or wait and put it on the spring when the spring bounce happens. With the greatest of affection, because estate agents have been my clients for my whole career, and therefore they've paid for most of my life. Estate agents are not economists. They would be very, very good at selling houses, but they're not very good at looking into the future of what's happening in the economy and the jobs market, especially if they're just based on what's going on in the papers, because that's not helping anybody. And any agent that's saying that is risking their client missing the market. And if I was selling now, it's including if I was selling to move in next year. So one of the people I was talking to wants to be in their home by September 2025 in order to meet the school deadline for their kids to get into a new school. And the agent said, oh, well, we'll wait until January or maybe even the spring. I thought, what? No, are you joking? They've got to sell this one and buy another one and deal with chain fall throughs and that kind of thing happen and complete and move in by September. And you're saying, relax, we'll do it in the new year. No, that's a huge mistake. And you don't want to be part of the new year rush. That is terrible advice. Now, there might be exceptions where that's true. And if it's a very, very good agent, there's a reason why you shouldn't put it on the market now. Trust your agent. Don't trust me. If it's a good agent. But I said to them, no, I would move very, very quickly, and I would instruct the agent and say to them, I want my property under offer by Christmas. I want it under offer by Christmas. I don't care what asking price you use. I only care that you get competing bidders so that we know we've got best market price. Okay, that is what I would be doing if I was selling a house in order to buy one and I wanted to be moved into the new one by next autumn. I'd be saying to the agent, I want it under offer, sale agreed by Christmas, which is 4 weeks from now. 5 weeks from now. And any agent that goes, oh, that's too fast, you can't do that, move on. Find an agent that says, okay, this is how we do that. And don't worry that you're not going to get enough money for it. Don't worry about that, because as long as they do get you competing bidders, you will get the market price. And more importantly, you'll get moved. And it's about the move, not the money. Excuse me. Now, right, I'm rambling. I'm going to take some questions. Good evening, everyone. Tina B, Cookie Monster, Sir Fleshmorph. Yeah. Chanson Papillon. Anecdote. Neighbour had those up for 6 months, 370, then reduced to 350. Finally, right, so my neighbours put their house on the market over 6 months ago. And I said to them, I said, we're in the Southwest, and all the data is now showing that the Southwest has actually had the worst house price falls of anywhere in the country, especially at the detached house end, which it is. And I said to them, I said, don't delay and don't overprice it. And 6 months, and they dropped the price, and nothing. Tumbleweed. Absolute tumbleweed, and they're going to be wishing that they'd priced it better to begin with. I like boring says, hi, I just want to check, are our homes investment assets or liabilities? Financially, they're liabilities, but otherwise it's an asset. Having a home is an asset, but not in a financial sense anymore. Right, let me scroll down here and look for some questions. Rob says, what's happening in the inner London market? That's seen some of the biggest falls in house prices in the whole country. Even certain parts of prime central London have seen some of the biggest drops in the whole country. Yeah, Visible Comment says, watch the layoffs when national insurance costs kick in for employers. Average wage increase is reported. 4.8%. No one's getting that anymore. I agree. Sir Fleshmorph challenges me saying, he always ignores that they are mix adjusted. They don't change the mix adjustment when the mix changes. I'm not ignoring it. You just don't understand how it works. Yes. Alex says, well, the woman on auto says house prices are going to boom in 2025. Yes, she does say that, doesn't she? Good old Abby. Yeah. London market has the most value in it. It's dropping a lot, says Nick Jones. I agree. Okay. Do we have questions? I've got one. So I like boring things. Says house prices will be whatever the maximum the market can bear. Not anymore. This is what's really interesting. I was in person with some agents saying that for the first time in 15 years, they've started to see first-time buyers not stretching themselves to the max of what they can afford anymore. He said it's very interesting. For the first time, they're actually being quite cautious and sensible because they don't want to overstretch. Chris Jordan, why are who in denial? Yeah, so Chris Jordan says, why are they in denial? Is there any chance they are talking the market up for now so that they and their wealthy friends can dispose of stuff they don't want before the price of track? You can't talk the market up. When the market's going down, you can't talk it up. Yes, a few poor, naive people will be hoodwinked into overpaying for mostly new homes. God, I wouldn't go anywhere near a new home in this market, not unless I got a hefty discount. No gimmicks, no toys, no incentives, just take the price down. By the way, new build prices are the very, very last to be reported, and so we don't get to see what's really happening with those prices in the official figures. It's so frustrating, Chris. I beat my head against a wall. I talk to agents and I say, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want house prices to go up or do you want to sell more houses? And they go, oh, we want to sell more houses. Okay. And then I say, so what do you think happens when house prices go up? Do you think you'll sell more or less houses? We'll sell less, won't we? Yeah. Okay, so stop talking house prices up. Oh, no, we can't. We have to because otherwise we don't get any instructions. So even agents who acknowledge that house prices going up means that they can sell less, it takes longer to sell them, it's harder to sell them with more fall-throughs, they still think that they have no choice but to talk prices up. Otherwise, they'll lose business to the agents who are talking prices up. And there is some truth to that. And this is why Halifax doesn't help anything when it says record house prices and Abby goes, oh, house prices are going to boom in 2025. Wow. Yeah, boring rule of thumb, budget 2% of property's value for annual maintenance costs. Yeah, don't disagree with that. Yeah, Patricia says the bigger downsizing happens during the next 10 years will be opportunities, I believe. I agree. I think it's going to be a long, slow slide. Let's not even talk about inflation and inflation adjusted house prices, shall we? Because no one wants to see what's happened to those already. Wow. Teddy, hi there. So Teddy is an agent. We just instructed a house today at £550,000. Gascoigne Peasy valued at £645,000. Agents should be blamed for a lot of all of this. Yes, Teddy, you're quite right. Teddy's going to be a guest on Wednesday evening's workshop, by the way. Looking forward to having you, Teddy. Questions. Come on, guys. You guys all chatting to each other. Oh, Aisha. Hi, Aisha. Excellent. Congratulations. Well done on your house going live. Good luck. Hope that goes well. I can't find any questions. You guys are all just busy chatting to each other. It's like you're not even listening to me. Mega Jewel for Currency says, how long before Spill Fencer admits it? Good question. Jamie Boy says, do you think house prices will fall 20%? Right. Well, first of all house prices do different things. Secondly, there are plenty of places in the UK where house prices have already fallen 20% already, and there's further to go. Thirdly, I think overall house prices will have fallen further than that, especially when you take inflation into account, from their 2022 peak. And my 15 to 50%, so my 35% total slide from top to bottom over however long that takes. And it is taking longer than I expected, but it's still happening. I said 15 to 50%. So I think that the smallest house price falls will be 15% by the end of it when we get to the bottom of this downturn we're going through. And the biggest ones will be 50%. And the 50% drops will be at the top of the market, the bigger houses. Marcus H says, do you expect prices will continue their rise in the north in areas where price to earnings ratios are low? No. In fact, I spent some time recently in Liverpool and in Manchester talking to agents at the coalface, good agents, and the prices have stopped rising. Rightmove in Cornwall, full of reductions. You can't eat the view. Very true. Oh, Chris says the media in the papers about house prices. I do want to come on to that. I'm going to come when I just check for all the questions. I'm going to come on to that point about why the media doesn't question the data coming out from the house prices from the housing industry. James Lavender, 50% whack down coming with mallet. I think so, yeah. Mad Mountain Man says, question, put a template-based offer in 2 weeks ago and no email response from the estate agent. Got a call a week later saying they'd spoken to the seller, but I'm not convinced they did. Right. This is important. Can you please confirm whether or not you are a cash buyer and whether or not that estate agent has an in-house mortgage division? And the reason I asked the question is that estate agents with in-house mortgage brokers, which is usually the larger corporate ones, the volume ones, don't tend to like cash offers because they tend to want to sell their properties to someone that they can sell a mortgage to. That's one possible explanation. Now, if you feel that the estate agent has not communicated your offer to the seller, you must ask them by email for confirmation that they have. Say, please, could you confirm that the seller has received my offer? Ask them by email. And if they don't reply or if they fob you off, they are legally required to put that offer forward, by the way. But if they fob you off, and the reason that they will fob you off is because they get away with it, because no one ever chases them up or checks on them. And you still want to make sure that the seller's had your offer, print your offer off, put it in an envelope, put it through the letterbox of the house you want the offer to go. If you think the estate agent is not putting your offer forward. If Labour replaced council tax with a land value tax, what do you think that'll do to house prices? Well, it depends when they do it. And I don't think there's any sign of that happening in this parliament. So I don't know at the moment, because I'd have to answer that question in the context of when it was happening. Yes, Patricia makes a good point. Good to hear that Teddy got the instruction despite the lower appraisal. Shows the seller is realistic. Yes. Well done, that seller. Absolutely right. What happens to house prices if GDP goes down even more? Well, it's not going to help, is it? It's not going to help house prices go up. The big man one says, given it is likely that many will downsize, will this price first-time buyers trying to get onto the ladder out of the market? So that's already been happening for the last year or two, to some extent. I don't think it's going to price first-time buyers out. I think downward pressure overall in the housing market is stronger than upward pressure. But what it is going to do is it's going to stop first-time buyer property prices falling as much as they otherwise would have. So yes, frustratingly for first-time buyers, you are going to be competing with downsizers in many instances. Okay, I get this question pretty much every time, but because so many people, especially new followers, won't know, it's worth answering every time. Question. So this is Siddhartha Bomik says, what advice would you give a first-time buyer who wants to purchase a detached 4-bed house? Should I wait for the market to dip or go in for purchase now? Answer is always the same here. If you would like to buy a house now and you've got the money to buy a house now, don't stop looking. So because if you look at enough, especially detached ones, because those are the ones coming down the most in price, by being out there looking at as many as you can, what you are increasing the chances of doing is finding a property where they just want shot. They just want sold. You're the only person making an offer and you get it at a price that makes you say to yourself, at that price, I don't want to wait any longer. So what I'm saying is, when the prices are coming down, don't stop and wait, because that means that you're not buying a home because you need a home. You're buying the home because of money. It's about the move, not the money. When it comes to home buying, and this channel it's not called Moving Buy to Let with Charlie. It's called Moving Home with Charlie. It's not called Investing with Charlie. It's called Moving Home with Charlie. And my advice is all about getting a home that you want, getting into a home, and my ultimate goal of a home for everyone. Okay, so if you need a home and want a home, how urgently you go out looking depends on your state of discomfort right now. So I don't know, again, what your current situation is, whether you're renting, whether you're living with family, how happy you are, or how motivated you are to get in your own place, right? Because that's a major factor in the answer to this question. But without learning any of those things, if you are buying a home because you want to live in a home, never stop looking. Because there are bargains out there to be had. Even if most of it's overpriced, there are bargains out there to be had, but the only people who find them are professionals like property developers and people who buy and do fixer-uppers as a living, because they're professionally out there doing it all the time. But if you're a home buyer, you're competing against those kind of buyers. So you've got to be out there viewing. And if you're not, you won't get those bargains. But if you are worried about, if the market is coming down, you're worried about it coming down, the other way you can offset an undesired wait, in other words, you want to buy now, but your worry prices are coming down, is that you factor in what you're expecting prices to do. So if you see a place that you like, no one else is offering on it, and the asking price is too high, just ignore the asking price, make your offer based on what you think is going to happen. But don't, by the way, it's really important you have to factor in the time value. So if you think there's going to be £10,000 a year coming off the value of the house you're buying, so 2 years from now, it'll be £20,000 less. Don't offer £20,000 less, because you've got to factor in the accommodation cost in that time as well. So if rent of a similar property would cost you £10,000 a year, you have to factor that back in, and then suddenly the price makes sense. Does that make sense? It's a very, very quick description, but that's how I would work out the price. Rob says, in London, what's your sense of how family homes 1 to 2 million range are doing? Agents suggesting the market is strengthening and local inventory is very low in North London. Agents are always suggesting the market is strengthening. Always, always. They're never not suggesting that. That's saying that the market is strengthening is about the least positive thing they will ever say. Because normally they'll say, oh, the market's booming. It's great. You've got to buy right now. I don't have my finger on the pulse of every market in the country. And I have a t-shirt that I normally wear in these videos that says disregard the guff, because it doesn't matter what agents are saying. Agents act for sellers, not buyers. They will only ever tell you what's in their interest of their clients and themselves, not you. So there's no point in asking agents what you think if you're a buyer. The only thing to ask an agent is, can I see that property, please? And you go and look at the property and you ask them questions about the property if you have questions. Don't ever feel the need to ask questions just because they're there, right? Just because it's an awkward silence. In fact, an awkward silence is better if you're a buyer, because it keeps the agent guessing as to whether you like it or not. So Rob, if you're looking to buy a family home, I'm assuming that you're a buyer, not a seller, right? I'm just making an assumption, but I don't know. Be out there looking, look at properties you're interested in, make an offer that you're comfortable with. Ignore what agents say about the market, ignore what the asking prices are. As long as you offer well, use by the way, my first time buyer email offer template is linked to below, right? So go and check that out because that explains exactly how to make sure that your offer has the best chance of being accepted. That's all you ever should do. Everything else is irrelevant. Everything else is guff. Halifax, Rightmove, guff, all of it. Agents saying the market strengthening, guff. Doesn't matter. Do you want a home? Go out and view. You want a home? Go out and view. Go out and view. And if you find somewhere that you'd like to live, offer what you want to offer. In writing, don't get sucked into a negotiation. And walk away if they don't accept it. And then keep viewing. That's all you can do. That's the best thing to do. Good question. Mr. Laughinggrass, new name, welcome. Does selling and renting whilst you look for your next home make sense? We are upsizing in size from London, from a flat, and going to the Herefordshire, Shropshire area. In a word, yes, it makes sense if you can logistically manage it. And the reason that it makes sense, especially in this very difficult market, and by difficult, I mean transactions are taking a long time and they're falling through quite a lot and chains are breaking and the government's making tax changes that's making people worried. So just getting a home, homes are buying and selling, but it's just harder work. It's grind at the moment. It's a real grind to get properties bought and sold at the moment. There are two advantages to selling and then renting before you buy. The disadvantage is obviously you've got to move twice instead of once. That's the downside, that's a disadvantage. The advantage is that if you are a no chain seller, that makes your property more attractive and gives you a better chance of selling it quickly and at a better price. Okay. Make sure you sell it contract ready, which means don't go to the agent first, go to a conveyancer first. Right, get a conveyancer you absolutely trust and say, I want to get my home contract ready to sell, then I will pick an agent, right? That will save you money because the agent will charge you a lower fee if you come contract ready because it's showing that you are committed to selling rather than a tire kicking time waster who's only going to sell if you get £1 billion for it because that's what you want for it. You're just wasting everyone's time like that. Yeah, and then that means you can sell more quickly. Once you've sold, you're then an unencumbered buyer. And when you find a place you want, you can make an offer and move very quickly. And that gives you a massive advantage over other buyers. So number one, if you sell separately, you can usually sell quicker and better. And you don't have the pressure of having to find a new home first. And therefore you have a lower chance of your sale falling through. And then number two, you're in a much stronger position as a buyer. So I strongly recommend selling and then moving somewhere else in the middle, whether it's by family or renting or going traveling or van life or whatever you want. Whilst you become a buyer, if that option is available to you. I understand that for some people moving twice is too expensive and too difficult. Mad Mountain Man, small agent, don't think they have any house buyer, mortgage. So you're a mortgage buyer, okay? Then you just need to ask them. Just ask them with an email. Send them a follow-up email. Say, sorry, could you just confirm if this email went to the seller or not? Just ask them. Just chase them. Ask them the direct question. Don't be afraid to ask, right? Never be afraid to ask. I mean, I know agents can be very intimidating. It's part of that whole negotiation of like being in control, keeping themselves in control of the buyers. Just let that guff wash over you and just go, did you sell give my offer to the seller? It's a reasonable question. Did you give my offer to the seller? Answer, please. Straight answer. Have you given my offer to the seller? Yes or no? Because you are legally obliged to. Don't slap them in the face. That was a joke. Andrew Dennis says, an agent didn't want to put my offer forward, so I had a lot of fun sending him emails. Yeah, they have to. Sophie S says, what would your advice be to someone looking to upsize in the next 2 to 3 years? Okay. Assuming that means you don't want to move out of where you are now for another 2 or 3 years, I would just say save as much money as you can. You know, the next 2 to 3 years is going in your direction and going in your favor as an upsizer. Do not worry that house prices are falling. You should be happy if house prices fall. It's going to make your upsize cheaper. J2 Shoes 2. Tenant made excuse she lost her job and not paying the full amount of rent. What should I do? One of the regular guests and a friend of mine who's on this channel is called the Indie Landlord. She is an ex-lawyer, now landlord, and she has advice for all of this stuff on her website, theindylandlord.com. Look her up, check it out. Kamal Sharma asks, when do you recommend buying a buy-to-let? Never. Not anymore. I speak as a former landlord myself. Okay, as a landlord multiple times. The ship has sailed. Unless you want to be in the hands-on business of being a landlord and managing a portfolio and spreading your risk by not having only one property, the risks are far too high, largely for this exact reason that the last commenter made. Tenant says she's lost her job, right? And if tenants are losing their job and can't pay their rent, the law at the moment is, and it's going to get more on their side to let them just sit there not paying their rent. And so I don't understand why anybody would want to do buy-to-let right now. I truly. The upside is very limited. You know, your upside is severely limited. There's no house price growth to look forward to. Your yield might be whatever your yield is, provided you have no voids and no maintenance issues and no troublesome tenants. The list of things that can go wrong with buy-to-let is so long. So buy-to-let is a bit like, for those of you who know what derivatives are, what options, futures and options, it's like writing an option. Your maximum upside is the price that you receive, the premium for the option. The downside is unlimited. That is how I see the buy-to-let market right now. That's buy-to-let brokers going to be tearing their hair out going, shut up, Charlie, stop it. I'm sorry. I think you need your head examined if you want to be buy-to-let, go into buy-to-let now. You need your head examined. What are you going to get? 5% yield at best if you're lucky? And what are the risks? You have a sitting tenant, you can't get them out of your house for 2 years. No chance. I mean, if you objectively analyze the risks versus rewards, it doesn't make any sense. If you are a professional landlord and you know what you're doing and you're growing a portfolio, you don't need my advice, right? And those are the people who are buying buy-to-lets now. People who know what they're doing, and they've priced in all this risk, and they know how to choose tenants very carefully, and they know the legal systems and all that kind of stuff. So there's my answer to that. But I'm not here to give buy-to-let advice. But I saw you asked the question twice, Kamal. There's my answer. Never. If you're thinking about doing it as a one-off or like never. Kenan here says, hi, Charlie, I'm from Reading and just wanted to let you know the house we are currently buying was initially listed at 555.75, I think, but after several months of waiting, we got the house for just over 500. Congratulations. Well done. That's a great question, Nick Jones. I don't know the answer. Will banks reduce lending criteria if we keep on getting taxed more? Good question. Don't know. I don't do financial advice, guys. That's not me. I'm moving advice, not financial advice. I have a mortgage broker on every week. So Wednesday evening, for a few minutes, Lewis Shaw usually. So Wednesday workshops is the type of mortgage questions, or we do mortgage specials sometimes as well. Marcus H asks, many landlords are nearing retirement, especially large portfolio holders. So as they continue to take those houses away from renters and sell them, what impact will this have on renters? Good question. Well, the only data that I've seen from memory is that landlords who are selling at the moment, it's roughly 50-50 are going. So 50% of what they're selling going to other landlords, so they're staying on the market as rentals, and the other 50% are going to home buyers. So it's not a one-for-one reduction in rental stock. I'm guessing for every 4 properties sold by landlords, it reduces 1 from the supply. And that's taking into account all the factors about, some will be a first-time buyer that moves out of rented, so they're coming out of rental, so that cancels it out. But some will be moving out of parents' house and not out of the rented market to buy, and therefore they'll be taking that out of the rental market. And the impact will have is to reduce the supply. And depending on what the demand's doing, the prices are likely to continue rising on renting. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Pluto says, upcoming financial crisis will see house prices globally take a real clobbering. You're not alone with that point of view, are you? Nick Jones says, I'm looking to move to Cornwall to upsize. Is this a good place to get a discount? Yes. Yes, it is. There are deals galore in Cornwall right now. No good hospitals or GPs in Cornwall. That's not true. That's not true. Truro is good. And in fact, my aeromedical, so I'm a pilot and I have to have my aeromedical done, and my aeromedical doctor is a GP in Truro and he's brilliant. No good hospitals anywhere, says Nick Jones. Interesting. Okay. This is worth commenting on. So Siddhartha again says, I'm renting currently. I'm a bit confused with high street agents here. The properties which I'm interested in viewing, but never get a call back from the agents, but I get a call about property I'm not interested in. Right. This is quite a typical experience for buyers for the following reason. Some properties are nicer than others, and the nicer properties get all the calls. And so unless you are much better prepared as a buyer, in other words, you're going and saying, here's my mortgage in principle all ready to go. Here's my proof of deposit funds ready to go. Here's my conveyancer I've already instructed ready to act for me when I get my offer accepted. And I'll buy a property search pack the moment my offer is accepted. Unless you go in like that, in other words, like a gold-plated first-time buyer, showing that you are a better quality buyer than all the others, no, you won't. You'll get ignored. You'll get ignored. When they've got a very saleable property, they're not going to waste time on people who don't understand the process yet. Now, that's not a criticism, it's just a fact. But what they will do is they'll call you up about the properties that no one else wants to see. If you've got the time, go and see stuff anyway. Go and see stuff, because you never know. Mark Reynolds called and says, might we be going to have an artificial bump in house prices caused by the stamp duty reduction ending in April? In a word, no, I don't think we are, because I think the negative effect of the budget has kind of poured water on those fireworks. And also, it's kind of already too late. If you aren't already offer agreed, you ain't going to be completing by the 31st of March anyway, on average. So for those reasons, no, I don't think it's going to make much difference. There'll be a slight one. There'll be a few people trying to rush their transactions through, but it's not going to make any difference to house prices. Just looking for more questions. Martin John Cassidy says, if you're selling your home, you still have to live somewhere. Renting is money down the drain. It's not true any longer. It really isn't. It depends on the circumstances. There are plenty of circumstances when renting makes a lot of sense. I mean, whether you're talking about renting somewhere modest while you save and save and save and invest and get returns on your investments to save up to buy a house cash, so you're not paying interest on anyone's mortgage, on your own mortgage. But when you're selling to buy, if you're going to be renting for, say, 6 months, but you've sold for more and bought for less, those two uplifts that you get from selling and then buying separately would more than cancel out the cost of your rent. But more importantly than that, they improve the chances of you actually getting moved. It's about the move, not the money. And the renting is money down the drain story is just not true, because if you rent, you're also purchasing insurance against maintenance costs. You've also got flexibility, and your life may need flexibility for work reasons, for personal reasons. You might want flexibility. So it's renting is only money down the drain if you could be living somewhere nicer for the same money and you never want to move again. Sorry, guys, loads of comments, not very many questions, so I'm having to sort of scan through. Oh, wow, Steve Stone. I bought a £650,000 house in Cornwall for £530,000. Moved in a week ago. That's, if I'm right, 120,000 off. That's just under 10%, just under 20% below asking. I think most sellers, on average, so if you exclude the informed, intelligent, realistic sellers who go, I understand that Rightmove is guff. I understand that all the housing market PR is guff. I understand the market is what the market is. Excluding those sellers, most just innocent sellers who've owned their property for a while and are thinking of selling, their ballpark estimate of their home value is about 20% too much. They don't want to admit it. I mean, they don't want to admit it. Truly, they don't want to admit it. My neighbours, easily 20% over their first asking price, easily 20% over. But it was absolutely what they thought. Excuse me, and what the agents thought. It's got to remember this, guys. Agents don't know what's going to happen in the medium and long term. They know what's happening right now in terms of busyness and that kind of stuff. They're not economists. They don't zoom out and look at the macro view of what's happening to all of the very large financial things that affect the housing market. And so many agents who are good at getting people moved have been caught out by this. So many. A good agent, when asked how much is my house worth, a good agent will say, I don't know. My job is to get you moved at the best price. That is an honest agent. What's happening to house prices? I don't know. My job is to get you moved at the best price the market will pay for your house. That's the only honest answer an agent can give to the question, what's my house worth? And asking an agent what your house is worth, I understand that you've got, honestly, they don't know any better than you do, except that they know what's selling right now, what exchange prices are. You should ask them that question. What's the most recent exchange price you've got from a house as comparable to mine as possible? That's the question you should possibly ask them. Never ask an agent what they think your house is worth. It just leads down the wrong road. Yeah, Andrew Dennis says, being a landlord is very hard work, and most developers sell them and buy commercially, but even in this market, commercial property is not looking good. Correct. Sophie S asks a very good question. Why are there still people that don't believe that house prices are going down? It's because they own houses, Sophie. That's why. And because they believe what they read in the papers. They see the headlines. They see week in, week out. I mean, literally not a week goes by without the media pumping out house price guff. Even today, with Rightmove saying that house prices have come down, however far they've come down, some of the headlines are, but they're going up next year. That's all they can do. And so when people don't look beyond that and past the industry guff, it's perfectly understandable why they think house prices aren't going down. Because Halifax had record house prices, right? Must be true. Am I catching up with the questions here? 360 Picture UK says, I see lots of landlords selling up, hardly any buying, getting very difficult for renters. Yep. Siddhartha says, where can I find guidance for the home buying process? Okay, I've done so many hundreds of videos. I have a playlist on my channel, which is First Time Buyer Advice. I suggest you check out that channel. I also did a very short 1-minute video. I got the 10 steps of home buying in 1 minute. It's a short. I don't know if you'll find that, but that would help you. But I need to do a sort of, hello, welcome to my channel. Here is, for new people, all the advice that you need in one go. I need to do that. Salma Shaheen says, question, should I purchase my right to buy property now or wait for the house prices to crash? I'm not expecting a house price crash. I'm expecting them to continue sliding like they have been for the last 2 years, for at least the next 2 years. More importantly, in the budget, they announced that they're going to be ending, I don't know if it was in the budget or not, but they're going to be ending right to buy. In the budget, they announced they're going to be reducing the discounts. And the date is, I think, by the end of this month. So if you haven't already started that process, you may be too late, Salma. And if you still have the option to buy it at the old discounts, you should move very quickly. And if you want to own it and live there, you should move as fast as you can. Yeah, so for any of you who want to talk to mortgage brokers, I've worked with the same 2 brokers for the last more than 2 years now. And I picked them because I trust them. And you can find them on this. Pop your details in there. One of them will be in touch with you for a chat, a no obligation chat. I work with these guys because I trust them. I trust them to give buyers the best advice for the buyers. And they have not let me down. So always find a mortgage broker that you are happy, you trust. If you can't find one, use these guys. Marissa says, question, so we know that buyers need to be prepared just to view a property, but how can sellers prepare to sell quickly? Again, I've done videos on this, but in a nutshell, step 1, if you're selling and buying and you've got a mortgage involved, talk to a mortgage broker, make sure you know what your financial position is in terms of what you can borrow if you're on with move. Step 1. Step 2, go to a conveyancer, a good conveyancer. Never, ever, ever, ever use cheap conveyancers. I don't know how they get away with it. They're so shockingly shit. They mess up so many transactions and chains. They're so bad at it. They leave clients dangling with bad advice, and yet people still think, never use a cheap conveyancer, especially if you're selling. Step 1, mortgage broker. Step 2, conveyancer, and you ask the conveyancer and say, I'm selling my house. I would like to get contract ready, which basically means preparing the sale pack. So that the day you have a buyer whose offer you accept, you hand over the sales pack to their conveyancer, and you'll be able to get the sale done in a fraction of the time. Also, if you get the conveyancer appointed before the agent, you will be able to ask the agent for a lower fee. Without spending any more money on conveyancing, the conveyancing costs what it costs. Just by doing it before you go to an agent, you're going to get less. You're going to get a lower fee from the agent. Not only because you're making the job to sell it easier, you're also showing that you're committed to selling. You're not going to waste the agent's time, because agents don't get paid unless you actually sell. Remember that. The big man asks about shared ownership and discount buying schemes. Sometimes they can be a solution to a bad problem. So if you're having continually terrible experiences as a renter, and you just want to get into a home where no one's going to kick you out, you have a landlord not kicking you out, then maybe shared ownership and discounted buying schemes are worth it. But financially, they're not great. John says, hi, I'm an executor of someone's estate. Can I sell the house before the grant of probate has been issued? You can arrange the sale. You can even get a sale agreed, but no, you can't sell it without the grant of probate. I suspect you know that, and I suspect you're testing me, aren't you? Brian McGovern on X says, have you any knowledge of the Northern Ireland market? All I know about Northern Ireland market is that the prices there have been going absolutely nuts. I'm not surprised. It's a great place to live, and it's an amazing value for money. Okay, good question. Ed7115 says, if asking an agent what my house is worth isn't helping, do you recommend speaking to 3 agents before deciding to go with? I recommend speaking to as many agents as you can. Yes, it's time consuming, but it's worth it because you want to find, if you pick 3 at random, there are on average at least 15 agents to choose from. If you pick 3 at random, you have an 80% chance of missing the best agent to sell your home. Okay? Invest time in choosing your agent. Choose your agent as though your future depends on it, because it does. Right? If moving house is essential to your future, then your choice of agent will affect your future. Okay. Now, when it comes to speaking to 3, yes, you should speak to at least 3, but don't ask them what they think it's worth. It will blow their minds that you don't, right? Agents spend ages preparing. If Teddy's still watching, he'll back me up on this, right? Teddy is an agent in Southwest London. Agents spent ages preparing comparables and all kinds of stuff to come in and justify the valuation they're going to give you. If you just say to an agent, look, save yourself. I don't care. I don't need to know that. I just need to know how you're going to ensure competing buyers. I would like to hear step by step your process for ensuring I get competing buyers for my property. Because if I get competing buyers for my property, then I know I'm going to get market price. And I'm never going to get market price. No matter how much I put it on at, I won't get more than the market's prepared to pay. So do speak to 3 or more agents, but when you do speak to them, ask them, what is it you do that other agents don't do that will get me competing buyers on my house? And if they say, oh, we put it on more portals, say, no, everyone does that. Oh, we put it on our website. No, everyone does that. Oh, we email it out to our database. No, everyone does that. All of those are things that all agents do. What do you do that's different? And they should say things like, we'll work out precisely what the unique selling point of this house is. We'll make sure we make a feature of the photographs. We'll make sure that the quality photographs of your property are better than any other comparable property in this area, so that when your house hits the market, the photographs look better than anyone else's house, because that makes people click on your property more. We'll make sure that we price it at just the right sweet spot price that makes it look like great value without looking too cheap, because that's how you get the maximum number of buyers straight in the door. The important thing is not how long it's on the market, but to get the buyers in at the same time, because only then do you get the competing buyer benefit and find out what it's really worth. And they will explain all of the processes. And different markets have different strategies for achieving that. But that's what you want to ask. Don't ask them what it's worth. Asking an estate agent what your house is worth is like saying, hi, I have absolutely no clue about the process. But agents think that it's all you want to know. But the trouble is they can say any number. And even if they're being realistic or not, it doesn't mean you're going to get it. Mad Mountain Man, what would you offer on a property that's listed at 50k more than the previously sold identical property in the same road in the current market conditions? Well, my answer to this would be the same answer to everyone that asks me how much you should bid. Without knowing what the actual other property was worth, I mean, is that 50k off 5 million? Or is it 50k off 500,000? Or is it 50k off 200 grand? Because that obviously makes a big difference. But it doesn't matter, because it shouldn't change anyway. It doesn't matter what something else sold for. It doesn't matter what the asking price is. You only offer your maximum comfortable price. Again, I'm talking to home buyers only. You don't start low and then go up. because then you end up losing the property to someone else if it's a nice one, who someone else who just goes, we're not going to waste time, we're going to just pay that, right? You pay you offer your first and final take it or leave it offer by email, as per my template in the link below, which is free for everyone to use. And you say, we've worked out that in this market, that property, and our circumstances, the maximum amount we're prepared to offer is this. You never need to explain your offer. It's just, in our circumstances, for that property, this is our maximum comfortable offer. Liam says, do you need lender permission if you were taking a lodger? It depends on the lender. You will need to check that with your broker or with your lender. Generally speaking, if it's a lodger, I don't think you do need to ask permission. But if you want to rent it, then I think you're supposed to ask permission. But nobody does. You didn't hear that from me, but nobody ever does. What I tend to see, my experience, what I see in lenders is, as long as the mortgage is being paid, they don't ask any questions. That's been my experience. I'm not allowed to say, and thank God I'm not a mortgage broker, because I wouldn't be allowed to say that. Correct, Patricia. Offer what you think it's worth to you, irrespective of asking price. Agreed. I can't pause at gaming. So how's the 35% prediction coming along, do you think? So quick refresher for everybody. Back in September 2022, I said that I am expecting, not predicting. There is a difference. If you don't know the difference, that's your problem. Go and look it up. There is a difference. Expecting is not the same as predicting. I'm expecting house prices on average to fall 35% in nominal terms from peak to trough over however long that takes, with a variation depending on where you are in the country, what market you're at, the high end or lower end, of between 15% and 50%. Okay? We're 2 years in since I made that expectation. And I think we're about halfway along. That's what I think. And if you're going to quote Halifax and ONS house price indices to me, you haven't been paying attention or listening, because it makes no difference what they're saying. They are not averages of house prices. They use the word average because if they actually explained what the calculation is, which isn't an average, it would just blow everybody's mind. It doesn't make any sense. Martin Turner says, where do you see pricing in 5 years? Labour will be lucky to build 1 million homes in 5 years. Yeah. So Labour, there's no way Labour's going to hit. There is no way. It is already not possible that Labour will hit 1.5 million homes built at that time. Pricing in 5 years, at best, is going to be flat. Yes, there'll be some with inflation and money. You'll see over 5 years from now, maybe first-time buyer type properties will be slightly higher in nominal terms, but not much in real terms. But pretty much flat. Overall, pretty much flat. Don't wait. House prices will fall at some point. How long are you prepared to wait? Don't wait. Never wait. If you want a home and you can afford it, there's no point in waiting. You buy a home because you need somewhere to live, not because you want to make money out of it. Certainly not anymore, anyway. London Lava Lout says, just sold a 6-bed house in North London for 1.6 million to downsize to a 3-bed bungalow in Hertfordshire for 640,000. Have I done a good deal? If downsizing was something that you needed to do, I would congratulate you for having done it. I can't comment on how good or bad the deal is, because I don't know how long you lived there. I don't know what I don't know what the condition of the property was. But I would say, if downsizing was something you needed to do, congratulations on having got it done. And yeah, I agree with that. It's a good deal if you're happy. Andrea says, some agents seem to price more realistically. Is it possible to find the data revealing these agents? Might help to understand realistic prices, whether buying or selling. So Andrea, I'm assuming you're a seller. it's extremely hard for agents to price completely realistically because they just end up losing too much business. It's very difficult to stay in business as an agent who prices realistically. That is just the cold, hard truth. There are some who do it, and they're outstandingly good agents because they're the agents like Teddy, who's on the live chat earlier, who's got that client on at £100,000 less than the other agent valued it at. It's not really possible to find it. I mean, let me give you an example, right? In London, the three biggest agents, and I won't say which one's which, right? But you've got Dexter's, Foxtons, and Kinley's. Two of those three only sell 28% of what they list, and the other one sells 56% of what they list. And there is data for the average sale price achieved, but it's so arbitrary because asking prices are so arbitrary. And that data is only valid if all agents overprice at a uniform level. So the percentage of asking price achieved is kind of, it's not a helpful metric. The best sign of agents who price realistically is agents who sell the highest proportion of properties that they list. That data is not published, but it's data you should be asking the agent for. And if they are reluctant to give it to you, it's a bad sign. Okay, because a really good agent will proudly share with you. And to give you context, right, anything above 60% is respectable. Not great, but respectable. Anything above 70% is good. Above 80% is great. And above 90% is very rare, but it's outstanding. It does happen. So there are some agents who sell 90%. They successfully sell 90% of what they list, but they are very hard to find. And bizarrely, they don't even make a big deal of the fact of that in their marketing because they don't seem to be aware of how good they are. Most of the best agents I know are terrible at marketing themselves. It's because they're really nice people, and they're not very sort of bombastic or outgoing. They're just quite quiet professionals. And they don't like to shout and boast. And so all the shouty, boasty agents aren't actually ever the best ones, I don't think. Nazgul99 says, young person here living in London, single. It is impossible for me to put together a deposit. Any advice on how to do it? The rent is eating 60% of what I earn. I mean, you got to get creative. There's a long list of various hustles and side hustles and things that you could do. You've got to find extra income. Are you renting a one-bedroom flat or is it a two-bedroom flat? Have you got a spare bedroom that you could Airbnb while you're there? Or, I mean, I know people who've done that, right? I know of two friends who rented a three-bedroom flat in Shoreditch, and they paid all of the rent just from Airbnb-ing the third room. Totally they weren't allowed to do it, obviously, but they weren't like not there. They were always there, so they were looking after the property, and it worked out well. They lived in an amazing flat they couldn't have otherwise afforded. So that's one thing. The other thing is ask for a pay rise. I mean, I'm not being flippant here. There are too many people who don't ask for a pay rise that would get one. I don't know what you do. I don't know if that's realistic or not. Look to switch jobs to a higher paying job. I'm sorry if these are obvious or silly answers, but what else can you do? I mean, if saving for a deposit is impossible in your current financial situation, you've got to find a way to improve your financial situation. Okay, I'm being challenged here. I can't pause it gaming says, then I encourage everyone to do a quick search through your videos as there are several where you clearly state your prediction in titles, thumbnails, and all sorts. Nope. You will not find one of that. You will not find a title or a thumbnail which says my prediction. And if you want to find one, I'll happy to stand corrected. But so many people make this misassumption about what I've said, including you. DP says, is the difference between predicting and expecting that you're liable to be and can be sued by the former? Well, you can't be sued for either. No one can be sued for predictions. People are so paranoid about being sued, and actually it very rarely happens. You can only be sued if you were paid for advice that you followed and turned it out to be wrong advice, right? No one's paying me for advice, and I don't give it. And when people pay for calls with me, what I do is I just talk them through. I never advise what to do. I talk them through and help them figure out what they're going to do for themselves. So I'm not worried about this. People are so paranoid about being sued. And by the way, for anyone after 35 years in business, and believe me, you get used to getting legal threats, almost like changing your underwear. First step, when you get a threatening legal letter, I'm not talking about speeding fines, that kind of stuff from the police, that's different. But when you get someone sending you a letter saying, I'm going to sue you, you literally throw it away and ignore it. And 90% of them you'll never hear from again. That's point number one. But number two, even if they send you a second one, again, just ignore it. Unless you've actually done something wrong, right? If you've actually done what they're alleging and it's bad, then obviously this doesn't make sense. But when you're talking about people who are just making idle threats, I had Purple Bricks threaten to sue me. And I replied and said, I'm standing by what I said. Bring it on. I'll see you in court. Never heard from them. I was sued by EasyJet, the Easy Group. So they threatened to sue me. 60-page deck came through of reasons why they're going to sue me because I had a product in the company with the word easy in it, which it wasn't even a consumer product. And I replied in an email and just said, if you really think that a judge is going to find my business-to-business product that has no consumer exposure as a threat to the Easy Group, then I look forward to seeing what that judge says in court. Until then, please stop bothering me with your letters. Never heard from them again. You can literally just ignore 90% of legal threats. Lawyers aren't judges. Remember that. Lawyers act like they're judges when you get letters from them. They're not judges. Lawyers aren't judges. Wow. Leo Bailey says, Charlie, when you first made the expectation, brackets prediction, I thought you were wrong. Since joining an agency, I'm starting to believe you, especially at the high end of the market. Why would you state your expectation in nominal rather than real terms, especially over such a long duration? Because if I stated it in real terms, I would sound bonkers, wouldn't I? It's going to be even bigger in real terms. I'm probably wrong, guys. I'm just some random bloke on the internet. Some people get so hung up about this. Is the drum kit real and can I play it? Yes and yes. It's a pearl kit with Zildjian cymbals, and I've been playing since I was at school. And I was in a band once with somebody famous. Got fired, got kicked out of the band. Yeah, 60% for rent is a lot. Some of you are funny. Move to Zone 5, start on OnlyFans. I'm not advising renting out a spare room for Airbnb. I'm saying that people do it. That's all I'm saying. And it isn't necessarily illegal. You can get landlords' permission to do that. And most landlords, if it means they're going to be more likely to get their rent, be like, as long as you look after the place, that's fine. I can't speak for them, but that's some of them do say that. Oh, here's a good one. Nope. No, that's unusual. Just found your dream home. Lucareth says, we just found our dream home and lost it as there was a covenant restricting the number of pets. No, that's an unusual covenant. I haven't come across that covenant before. I don't know what part of the country you're in. Maybe in the area you're in, it might be quite common. Worth checking with the agents. Paul Selwood says, for personal circumstances, need to buy a very large house. God, the mind boggles. All the reasons that you might need for the personal circumstances. Okay, large family, whatever. Right, sorry, ignore me. But no, it will underperform the wider market. Any tips? Prices already appeared down 20%. Thank you very much for confirming that. But we feel we'll get a flood of larger houses from downsizers over the coming 5 to 10 years. How do we protect ourselves apart from not overpaying now? I mean, I don't know. I don't know how else you protect yourself apart from not overpaying now. It's not if you don't overpay now, you haven't got to worry about that. I mean, you can look at the condition of it. If you maybe you can find a very large house where there's the opportunity to add some value to it. A lot of very large houses are very, very poor in terms of energy performance. And if you're going to be living there for 10 years, and you can buy it at a cheap enough price that you can actually massively improve its energy performance, then you're going to be adding value to that house as well as reducing your energy bills. It's just one example. Some houses you might be able to get planning permission to extend them, and that would add to the value. Those are other things that you could do apart from not underpaying. So yeah, looking for properties where there's potential to add value, I suppose, is the other answer to that question. I'd love to do that. Do you know what Sir Fleshmore says? I'd like to see Charlie do a TV show like The Apprentice, but for estate agents, and we see how good they are getting it at getting and selling properties. I'd love to do that. And if ever, as per my dreams and aspirations, this channel grows big enough and starts to generate the resources able to organize a production or something like that, I would love to do that. It'd be great fun. Great fun. Daryl says he'll do a drum roll when official prices have crashed 35%. Bella, do you think some of the house depreciation is driven by flats? They are tanking here, but holding, but houses are holding steady. Yes. Actually, flat prices pretty much stopped going up in the south in the late 2010s, long before COVID. The leasehold problem started to be affected, and landlords started selling up in 2017, 2018. And it wasn't really noticed to begin with, but a lot of landlords started selling up 2017, 2018. Leasehold started to become problematic then as well. So house price growth of flats has been absolutely pathetic for a long time. How have I been going for an hour and 45 minutes? No wonder I got a sore throat. Thank you, Deluaro. For me personally, the best thing about Charlie's expectations is that it came at a time I was about to make a huge mistake. It was looking like house prices were going to keep rocketing. Thank you. Just knowing, I've had a few people message me like that and say, thank you, your channel stopped me buying at the very top of the market. It would have been a massive mistake. There were people thinking that house prices were going to keep on going to the moon in 2022. And when I started first saying that, I got so unpopular with agents. But I was right. I called the top. I publicly called the top in February 2022. That was the first time I publicly put a video out saying, I think we've just seen the top. Oh, Steve Stone says the same. My situation precisely, August 2022. Exactly. That was the absolute top of the market, August 2022. Good question. T says, would you write a book, Disregard the Guff, or How to Survive the UK Housing? I do think about that. I do think about writing that book. Maybe one day. Maybe one day, if I'm sure it's got a big enough market and I can reach it. Guys, it's the first time I've looked at the clock. It's 1 hour, 50 minutes since I started this live stream, and there are 1,507 of you currently watching live, which is an absolute thank you very much for watching. I'm going to start to do my end of my break. I should have packed up a while ago, shouldn't I can't play the drums now because my children are asleep. But yeah, if you want to, so if you are a mover who'd like direct access to me for answers to questions, then at that link there, you can join the Charlie's private movers Q&A club. 2 Wednesdays a month, and it's this Wednesday at 9:30, straight after the 8 o'clock workshop. Will be the next. It's like a Zoom call. I don't use Zoom, use something else that's easier. And it's private and it's unrecorded, and it's movers and me in the room chatting on video, just chatting about people's moves. That's part of what you get. That happens to you get direct access to me there twice a month, plus guaranteed answers to private messaging when you're a member of the club. And that's at buymeacoffee.com/that/that. The link might be below as well, or on my website. I'm quite tired. It's been a long day. It's been a good day. It's been a long day. You could also go there, and if you go to /extras, I do extras. Sorry, couldn't resist it. Then you can book a one-to-one call with me for 30 minutes or half an hour, 30 minutes or 1 hour. And if you're a member of the club, by the way, the club's 15 quid a month at the moment. Cancel anytime. But if you are a member of the club, then there's a discount off those video calls as well. If you want my advice for free and you're willing to have your question public, then send me a video message. Send me a question by video. You can DM it to me on X, like on any platform you'll find me. Moving Home with Charlie. Just look Moving Home with Charlie on any platform and you'll find me. X and Instagram, you can send me audio or video message questions, and I would love to do some of those. I never seem to get any. I get very, very few. Oh, I had an amazing video sent to me this week by someone who had a private one-to-one call and said that call and my template helped them. That's the other thing I should really make sure you know of, guys. The first time buy template. But let me just show you this video quickly. It's just so sweet. I love it. Where is it? Here we are. Oh, I'm so tired. My just not working. Here we are. Look at this. Isn't that lovely? They sent me that saying that my guidance and my first time buyer email template helped them get that house for 30 grand below asking. And they sent me that video and they said that I could share it, and I have shared it. And I just thought that was wonderful. And I would, that kind of thing, right, really means a lot to me to get that. And if I can be allowed to share it and keep on spreading the word, I'm whether you're buying or selling, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help people move. And it really, really helps me to grow stuff. Conveyancers, right? My conveyancers, and by the way, fingers crossed, I'm close to adding a second firm. But my current conveyancing firm, which is the one I've been working with for 2 years, and they've won a whole bunch of awards twice since then as being the best conveyancers in the country. Whether you're buying or selling, but especially if you're selling, this is a firm of conveyancers who welcome the opportunity to add value to your move by representing you before your move begins. So if you go to them and say, hi, I'd like to be contract ready and sell my house, they'll be like, you come to the right place. This is what we do. We help our clients get ready up front and get that process moving much faster. Okay, so pop your details in there. They are busy, which is why I've now had to add in another firm. And the other firm is up north, and I went to meet them in Sunderland last week. Lovely team, met the whole team. I'm looking forward to announcing that firm as the second firm I'm working with conveyancers. If you're a buyer, the time to get your conveyancer on board is just before you think you're going to make an offer that's going to be accepted, right? Don't wait until you've had the offer accepted, because you miss out on the opportunity of including your conveyancer's details with your offer. And by that, I mean, if you've cleared your source of funds, because conveyancers have to check that for you, and your ID and anti-money laundering checks, and your offer includes the fact that you already have conveyancing representation, you are showing seriousness, you're showing knowledge of the process, and you're showing that your deal can happen faster than other buyers can. All right? Don't go too soon. Don't if you're just starting to go out viewing, it's a bit too early to get the conveyancer on board. But just when you are confident you're going to be offering soon, that's the time. Get them ready, like about 2 weeks before you think you're going to offer, because that's how long it takes to get the onboarding process done, money laundering checks done, proof of funds, source of funds approved for anti-money laundering reasons, all that kind of stuff. It takes a little while, so get that done. And last but not least, my newsletter, my free newsletter, which goes out every week, although last week I didn't because I did a video instead, which is where I tend to announce things earliest there. And if you don't follow me on X is the place I post the most because it's the easiest source of news and sharing news articles. And I have a fast growing following on X, where I also talk a lot about how politics and the economy helps the housing market, and where I try to raise awareness of the fact that based on what's happening in the economy and with policy making in the housing market is not going to see any improvement anytime soon. And so you should factor that into your thinking when you're buying. I'm conscious of how many of you are laughing at me for not going when I said I was going to go. Otherwise, thank you for watching, especially those of you who've watched for nearly 2 hours. And sleep well. See you soon. Thanks for watching.